Welcome to Meeples on Meeples, Episode 2, a podcast where we talk about all things board game related. I'm Adam.
I'm Andrew.
I'm Brian.
I'm Ian.
If you've followed our website, our Facebook page, or our Twitter account, you know our game for this week was Survive Escape from Atlantis.
Survive Escape from Atlantis is a game where you start off with an island, kind of randomly set up with all these little hexagon pieces. And your goal is to place your characters or meeples on here and then try to escape from the island. So to start the game, if I was blue, I put one blue on there, green would go, and everybody slowly fills up the island with their pieces. So they'd be randomly distributed about, and there's one meeple for every single land space. And then afterwards, that's when you put the boats. We have them laid out already. And then on your turn, you can move 3 things. So if I was this green guy, I could go 1, 2, and I have another movement. I can move the boat if I wanted to. I can move another guy, but you get 3 movements total. Then you draw a tile, because the island is sinking, that's why you have to escape off of it. And the rules say you have to start with the beaches on the outside, then do the beaches on the inside, and then the forest come next, and then lastly the mountain pieces would sink, because of the elevation. So then I would take one of these off, and then you do whatever it says on the bottom. This says play immediately. I'd place a whale right there. There are sharks you could place. It might say put it in your hand. You can use it later to avoid a shark, etc. But you do whatever's on here. Either put it in your hand, don't let anybody else see, or play it immediately if you must. And basically everybody tries to get their pieces off the island to one of the corners safely. Meanwhile, everybody else is trying to screw them over by bringing in the monsters, because at the end of your turn, once you've drawn your land tile like I just did, you roll the monster die, and it says, oh, okay, move a whale, or a sea monster, or a shark, or whatever's on the board that you roll.
And kind of go into the sea monsters, sharks, and whales all have different abilities, which are actually laid out on the board itself. The sea monster can move 1 space, the whales can move, I believe, 3 spaces, and the sharks can move 2.
And then the sea monsters...
When the sea monsters get into a space with either a person or a person and a boat, they destroy everything in that space. So if there's a boat with 3 meeples on it, it'll destroy the boat and all 3 of the meeples.
Does it also destroy the whales and the sharks too?
I don't know if we've...
No, it just goes after the people. However, a whale would capsize the boat, so destroy the boat, but the people would be fine because whales don't eat people. And then the shark can only eat someone if they're in the water. So if a shark were to come into this space, my guy's safe because he's on a boat. That's why another player might want to come in, knock it over with a whale. Haha, you just got eaten by the shark because now you're left over in the water.
And one of the other benefits of knocking people out of a boat with a whale is once you're in the water, you can only move 1 space at a time because your guy gets tired after moving that 1 space. So it makes it harder for them to make it from the main island to one of the side islands.
Or another boat or whatever they're trying to do, exactly. And that's pretty much it for gameplay.
Basically now, I think we had a few things we wanted to talk about. Ian had a strategy that he played. I think both times we played this, it has been pretty successful in helping him win it. So,
did you win both? You won the second.
I won both.
Okay.
Very happy.
The last 2 times.
It was a little bit harder the second time because everybody turned against me because that's what they do. What I ended up doing for my strategies, I placed my green people obviously as close as I could to a boat in the first place for my big numbers, and then I placed them on my first.
Do you want to explain the numbers? I kind of glossed over that.
The numbers are on the bottom of the pieces, every 1 through 6.
Yep.
The higher the number, obviously you want them to get them to your island first in order to score the bigger points. With that being said, I was trying to place my higher numbers right next to the boats as quickly as I could. On my first turn, I was jumping them into the boats and also then moving them away from the shore. So I'd have my big numbers out first. It seems as if the first group of people, or the first ones you can get off the island first, tend to make it more successfully to the islands to actually score your points. It seems like as this basically poop hits the fan, within the whole board game, everything's sinking, everything at one time, everybody's jumping off the island, everybody's rowing, more cards, more things are being played. Things get eaten a lot more, things are tipped over, your guys die a lot faster. So as you can just make those first initial key moves to get your points off the board and onto your islands, you tend to do a lot better.
Yeah, as you play, like you said, you end up rolling more whales, more sharks, and so with them roaming around in the water, it's harder to get your characters from the main island to the side islands to score points.
That's true. I mean, I suppose if you get on here right away, you've only got 1, 2, 3 spots. It does take a move to get off, but there's no, like I said, sharks to contend with. Right at first, it's just sea monsters, and there's only 1. No, I'm sorry, there are 2 sea monsters on the die, I guess. So 1 in 3 chance that somebody's going to roll the sea monster, but they can only move 1 space, so it can still be hard to catch up to the boats.
Yeah.
I can see how that would work.
It does seem like a great strategy. I tried the same thing on the second game, and it was terrible. I lost almost all my characters halfway through the game. So it's not a fail-safe strategy for all those people out there thinking that, oh, this is great, this might work. It's just more or less if somebody's going after somebody or you just roll the dice wrong or whatever.
In his defense, he still almost beat me, and he had half as many people off the island. So it isn't necessarily a bad strategy. But
it is a numbers game, too. I mean, if you can get a 6 and somebody else has 3 1s, you know, obviously you still have more with 1 character versus 3. So
the other thing about the strategies, one game I thought, you know what, right away I'll put a 6 guy and a 5 guy right next to each other. And that way, if that boat makes it, I've got 11 points. I'm going to win, assuming I don't screw everything else up. The problem is when they all stick the sea monster on you, and the first boat to go has your 5 and your 6 on there. I was pretty upset. That's when I went after you, because I think you did that, I needed to get revenge, because I knew.
Green is not innocent for all everything he says he takes. He likes to sink boats, kill all the other people. So within a few turns, we all had pretty much turned on him.
I'm pretty much the mean guy of the group. Yeah, I would assume so.
It was pretty cutthroat.
Green is very malevolent, yes.
It was, yeah.
I think Red actually sunk a boat he was on just because Green was on the boat too.
Yes.
I did do that.
That was awesome. He actually turned the boat around because Ian had it going away from the sea monster, and he said, nope, and he brought it right into the sea monster space.
Point just to rule then. If you have the same number of characters and the same number of boats, you both can control the boat. However, if you have a majority in the boat,
do red, okay.
Yeah, whatever. I figured you had a red guy. If you have majority in the boat, then only the controlling majority can actually control the boat.
Good for you. That's true. Also, part of the strategy is hop on. Like, it would be really smart for the green guy to hop on here. That's part of my strategy. Is I know that Red is not going to let this boat sink because he has 2 guys on there, and so I can hop on for a safe ride. Yes, I have no control over where we're going, but I know he's going to do everything in his power to get us off there, and the 2 of us are going to try to keep monsters away when it's time to roll the monster die. So, I mean, it kind of works. You can sneak guys on other people's boats, too.
And one other strategy it seemed to be kind of effective is early on in the game, again, before there's a lot of monsters out there, hopping one guy on a couple boats and getting those boats away from the island to kind of ditch everybody else, because then it makes it extremely hard for them to score points. And assuming you make it to the other islands, you can get a few points ahead of them.
And the one thing that we missed is when you pull a tile away, there's something on the bottom of it, which this one is the boat can move 3 spaces, or there's some that say, place a boat here, and then there's sharks, things like that. That's how the creatures come about. Like, this one's put a shark right here. So, if you want boats, that's the thing, is if you can get them farther away quicker, then all the creatures are in here and it takes them longer to get to you if you're trying to go for the islands.
Oh, there we go. That's the one.
And then the game is over. A good call, yeah, when the mountains are the last thing to sink because one of them has a volcano on it, and the volcano erupts and destroys Atlantis or whatever you're on, and that's the end of the game. Whoever is not safely on the outside dies, and that's when you count in add-up points.
I do believe that was like our second tile actually pulled out of the mountains, or we won our first. And so
one game it was the last one.
Yeah,
one game we actually complete. It was the only tile remaining, and then another game it was pretty early on.
Yeah, it was. So I mean, there was still like 7 or 8 people still left on the islands or on whatever there was before that we pulled that, and it was game over.
And another bit of strategy, when we were talking about pulling land tiles, you can pull them even if there is another person on them. So a bit of strategy is to go around to the other colors and pull the land out from under them. Because if you get this tile where a shark drops in that space, it's going to automatically eat the person that was on that tile.
And then the boat.
And that's actually the move shark for the record. That's the see it goes in your hand.
Oh, yeah, true.
But there is one that drops a shark there, and then that would eat him. As long as we're talking about tiles, can we move on to our second point? Are we ready? I want to talk about the component quality. Because it's everything from just a really nice, colorful board to the tiles. It might be hard to see on camera, but they're different thickness. It looks like it's maybe too thick for the beaches, and then the forests are just a little bit thicker to show that they're a little bit higher and they would sink, second. And then you've got the really fat pieces for the mountain. So you have the different elevations present, which is awesome. Good artwork. Everything's simple to read on the back side. And then I love that everything's 3D. Everything could have been just little cardboard chits. Like, oh, here's a little guy. No, I love the fact that it's all pieces that you can hold and move around. The monsters look cool. The whales and sharks we don't have on here are 3D pieces.
The color though on the bottom though of the
Yeah,
chip for the numbers.
if you look at the numbers,
That's true.
each piece does have a number on the bottom, 1 through 6. And on the yellow, for instance, they're pretty easy to read, but they're black numbers, and when you put them on a dark blue piece like this, it's almost impossible to read that on there. I think it's a 1 on that one. So the color, the choice of color and then the choice of color for the numbers isn't exactly perfect. Also with these pieces, these are actually pieces that came, I believe, with an expansion.
No, this is what came with the game.
Oh, okay.
I have an expansion that can add 5 to 6 players where they made them plastic, and then it's a white sticker you put on the bottom, which is much easier to read, which
There
I can
you
pull out while you talk if you want real quick.
And these pieces, the ones that actually came with the game, I believe are they handmade? The wood ones?
I don't
They're not all exactly the right
Yeah,
same size and shape.
they're all different sizes, different
I
shapes.
can't see that anybody
So that-
can make that.
Maybe not handmade, but
It's somewhere in China, some guys whittling.
As we speak.
They're very good whittlers. I do appreciate their.
They aren't machine made to be the exact same size. So if you really wanted to try to play strategically, you could keep track of maybe the differences in the size of the pieces to remember where your
who
numbers
6
were.
is. This one has a
on the
little
board.
notch out of the arm, actually. There's a 3 there. But here's the demonstrate. It is easier to read on the expansion. However, you have to sticker them all yourself, which I had to do. That takes a long time.
Tweezers and patience.
We have yet to
It
play
did.
with
It was tweezers.
the giant squid. We have yet to play with, but
We have not added
I
those.
I would like to play.
That
with.
is another expansion that and then speaking of components, they kept that up, and there are 2 expansions that I would totally recommend you get because I think it's a 4-player game. You can make it 5 or 6 players for like $8. Comes with all those, tons of meeples in every color. They're plastic. They're more uniform, the right size. So it replaces the pieces, and it's just ridiculously cheap and makes it 2 more players.
And the octopus or the squids are part of an expansion too, right?
Yeah, and they're $6 for 5. It's a little more chintzy because they're just little wooden, goofy shapes, but it's kind of cool. It's well worth it. For $14, you can add a ton more to the game.
Also, I do like the fact that you use my silica gels in the packs.
Yes, I don't like things that work.
Why in the wood pack?
No, this one came with that one.
Oh,
I
okay.
threw another one in the box.
He's worried about the
There
wood
you go.
pieces warping.
Yeah.
He's got some crazy humidity problems.
That's a whole other story.
But I do you guys have anything to add or any problems that you can think of with component quality?
It's very
or-
sultry in
No,
my
components
house.
is very good. And does the board fold out? Is that how
Yep,
it?
and
Yeah, so it's one solid piece when you flip it out, so it doesn't separate or anything like that to create any
and I
problems.
don't know if you can see the dividers on the boats, but it keeps the meeples kind of locked in place, which is pretty nice. There's 3 slots; they fit in there just right. So
I think one of the issues we did come up with in this game, and maybe it's just an issue that we had, but the rule book actually says when you're moving boats and dealing with the meeples on the boats can't occupy, or more than one boat can't occupy the same space. When we were playing, one of the issues we came up with is, does that mean a boat can't move through a space where another boat is? Does that only mean they can't stop and be in that same space? Because the way we saw it is, if it's going to move through and not stop in that space, it's okay.
well, actually, we put it to a vote, and we voted that was okay because
Right.
we both had guys on there, and we just outnumbered Green over here,
Who was winning?
Who was winning?
We were outrunning a whale or shark or some sort of monster to
to try to score because we were way behind.
And the major dilemma we thought was, if you're here and there's a boat here and the sea monster is here, there's only 2 spaces to get on the island. Well, if you have another boat, what do you do?
It was right here, and we had to go through him to get to that. Otherwise, we'd have to go way. I don't remember how it was, but it was difficult to get to the island.
And the rules actually do read: no more than one boat may occupy a sea space at a time.
Occupy.
But occupy is a little hairy.
Does that mean
little better wording?
Does that mean where it stops, or does it mean, like we said, that they can't move through a space where another boat was? As they said, we did kind of a house rule, a house vote to screw Green, and decided that you could move through the same space.
And it does say special thanks to Chad Mekash for rewriting the rule book and a little hairy in the occupy piece. So let's
we're calling you out.
Yeah, Chad. The green meeple here. Come on.
But no, I think otherwise the rules have been pretty straightforward for it. Like we said, everything as far as these pieces, they're pictures, which then have a corresponding explanation in the rule book. So if you know what the picture is, you learn it once, you're going to know exactly what you get to do with that piece when you pull it up. It's not some convoluted explanation or rules that go along with it.
Does that about cover all of our
any gripes,
concerns or
any
gripes?
problems?
I have a gripe with Chad. I would say, Chad, message me. Let me know how you feel about this and how you like to define occupy. I defined it by Google, and you were wrong.
Green's a little bit bitter, even though he's won both games.
Yeah,
You
but
know,
still, I'd like
if
to
this
win
comes
by one.
across Chad's desk, send us an email. Meeples@gmail.com.
Brain? No.
No.
I want to talk about brains.
I guess do we want to score it and say why we stand where we stand? Or?
Yeah, I think we can give our kind of...
Between what to what are we doing?
Oh, okay. We 1 to 10. 1 absolutely terrible, unplayable. 5 meh. 10 amazing because the Meeple said so.
Because the Meeples.
Yes,
Yeah,
the Meeples.
The Meeples.
So we're going to start with Andrew over here.
We're people Meeples.
All right, I'm going to give it a 7. I really enjoy playing it. It's a lot of fun to play. All the pieces, everything, it's just nice. It's not, it's very eye-appealing, and it's quick play if you need it to be. Well, at least it feels quick. It's not a game that just drones on and on and on, and you're going,
on the box?
all right, somebody just end this already, But it's a lot of fun because you can attack other players, and you can, if you know you have a 1, sacrifice your 1 because you think that somebody has the 6 that they're trying to get on the island. And
You can, for instance, run your boat into a sea monster.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If it says 45 to 60 minutes, and
that's not terrible.
of the
long.
games we played, it seems about right. We're
Yeah.
probably right in that.
And I don't think that we've ever made it over 60 minutes. It's a fairly quick play. Sit down, and it's pretty simple for any age. I would say probably over 10, maybe 8. So I give it a 7. I really enjoyed it a lot.
I'm going to go one higher, go with an 8. A lot of the same reasons Andrew gave. I really like the game. It's good components. Everything is well made, wood pieces, aside from the numbering issue on the bottom. The boats, everything's really well constructed. It's a fun play. I think one of the better things about it, though, is that you can play it with a wide range group. I know a couple of the people in our game group have played with kids, and it's been easy for them to kind of follow along and to play the game pretty well. And it's another one where we have had, I think, a lot of requests for it in our game group. We've played it a lot and had a lot of fun with it. So when we need a kind of a filler game, it's going to, it's the end of the night and we don't want to quit playing, but we don't have time for, a 2-3 hour game. This is something we can kind of throw out and into the...
Well, and we keep saying, though, the 2 games, we play more than 2 games, though. I mean, I know we have, but one's fresh on memory of the 2 where...
I think it's the 2 where Green was
cheated, yeah.
Yeah. She's got 2 wings and got 2 thumbs. This guy.
I'm gonna have to go with Adam here and give it an 8, because it plays quickly, like Andrew mentioned. It's really easy. I have kids that play. You play with the family, no problem. But I don't think it's scary for non-gamers. If you break out some of those big games like I have Tannhauser, or if you play like Descent, or some of those huge. I mean, there's all these pieces, and there's tons of cubes and all these pieces and all this cardboard and all these characters out and like 50 different types of dice. It can scare people away, and I think I could probably break this out with relatives visiting or whatever, and I don't think any of them would be too scared. And then you can explain it probably in under 5 minutes and be up and
easily.
running. I
With
mean,
one dice
I
and
think
then
we
you flip
did.
the pieces, super simple to play.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm going to give it an 8 for simplicity's sake and for the fact that, actually, for the base game, I might actually go as low as like a 7.5. I'm bumping it up to an 8 because I have the expansion for 5 to 6 players, because there's always 5 of us for game night. So the expansion's a must-buy in my opinion. But yeah, I'd give it a solid 8 if you have that. It meets your game group's needs.
Yeah, true. With 4, it would be kind of hard for us because we're pretty typically a 5-person group, so it might actually be a little lower. But I'd agree with the expansion with 5 to 6. That's what makes it an 8 for me.
Since you guys are rating a bunch of 8s, and I've won twice, and I really enjoy the game because it's simple. I'm new to board gaming in general, and it's just fun and easy, and I can even quote rules to you guys now because I tend to always cause trouble. So with that,
when you get screwed enough, you memorize.
I'll go 8.5 or a 9 even if for the most part, just because it's fun. I'd play it twice in a row or even 3 times just to get through the night because there's a lot of just moving. It's not so tough and there's a lot of board talk even across between players. And
can I interject something real quick too?
I'm not done.
Adding to that, oh no, I'm interjecting. I'm coming into what you're saying.
Oh, yeah.
It's also a nice game because you care when it's somebody else's turn. It's not
yes.
like you can just tune out whatever because they might be screwing you over or eating one of your guys or trying to cheat.
It's kind of like chess.
So you care about everybody's turn. You're always involved the whole way around the board. It's not like, okay, I can tune out. Where's my iPhone?
Well, I mean, for the most part, I'm a big chess fan, and I mean, it kind of is that way where you need to make sure you know where the last person just moved because if you miss that or lose that, you kind of don't have a good feel as to where the board's at and what you can
Well,
do
yeah,
next.
and an example of that is if you're not paying attention and one of your pieces get eaten, if you're really good and know where your numbers were, if you don't catch that, it's really going to throw off your strategy.
Right, and my strategy was to get...
Because once you put them down, you can't look again. So
And
you have to
that's-
memorize where your 6, your 5, do your
Right,
rest.
but that was why my strategy was to get your high numbers off first, because then you don't have to really memorize where the rest of them are at.
Yeah,
And plus, when people are trying to eat my 1s in the middle, I could care less. Because my 6 and my 5 is 11.
I'm
and
green,
you guys,
I'm gray.
Yeah, and you guys are sitting there like, I got 4. Oh, I got 3 and 2 2s.
I think I got 7 in my defense.
I got 5 in a race car. Oh, that goes to Formula D. Sorry.
Oh.
Yeah.
I got 4 in a pocket lint. I don't know.
All right, is that everybody's thoughts?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would say so.
Yeah, I think successful game overall.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us this week. You'll check back next week where we'll be reviewing Flashpoint, Fire Rescue, another great game, and just check out our next episode.
Done.
No thank you across the board?